Welcome to another episode of Mysteries Unknown. In tonight's podcast, I've got Jeff with me, and Jeff had a really scary Class A encounter with Bigfoot back in 2010. He had several encounters with the same creature. We're going to jump right into that in just a second, but I just want to say thank you so much for supporting this channel. Without you guys, this podcast would not be possible, but let's just jump right into this story. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Hey Josh, good to see you.
Yeah, man, I'm glad you're here. I can't wait to hear your experience. So take us all the way back to 2010 and this experience you had with Bigfoot.
I am not a researcher, so to speak. I don't keep any logs of any type of research. I am more of an experiencer, just to let you all know. I love to be able to tell you what I've experienced because I feel that some of these stories, could be made up. We don't know. But I'm a true, honest person, and I'm telling you everything I say is things that have happened. My first encounter was in the bottoms of southern Illinois near Lake Carlisle. And the 24997 on the BFRO report is the guy who told me the story, and I had encouraged him to go to the BFRO and report it. I just followed his path because I knew him and he told me what happened. But so we went across this train trestle in the middle of the night with no flashlights, the three of us. And it was 12 foot down there into where, I don't know, it seemed like 25 foot, but I think it was 12 or 15. And one of the board, the trestles was rotted, and I stepped on it, and I caught myself and jumped to the side where the tracks were and got some stability, but it was dangerous. And doing that on a live track, the trains can come down. It's very dangerous. But these were going 10 miles that way, we could see it straight, and 5 or 10 that way, we could see it straight. So we kind of kept an eye out, and you can hear things and you can feel the rumbles of things. But we got across, no problem, and got over there. And like I said, the water was about, I don't know, I'm guesstimating that deep above the bank. The river had risen because of the dam opening. And so I was disappointed because I wanted to do what the guy did, and my friend did. He went over the tracks, and then he came down the riprap, the big giant chunks of rocks, and came down, walked under the tracks, and then he came around and caught this thing off guard. It hadn't have been... What I found, what I found was this thing had an opening that could see the dam. It had gone up and broken limbs out. You can watch for this. These things do this. In areas that are populated fishing spots, they'll be surrounding that area to watch what's going on. This one had a great thing because the water would rise, taking all these dead carp and fish and parts and whatever, and would load it into this area and then drop the bank. And then it had all this pond, water, dead fish, and live fish. And literally, I think that's what it was living off of right there. It never would leave this little, it's like a quarter, I don't know, like a football field area. It wasn't very big. It would literally, that's all I did was go to the bridge, show people, tell them the story, what happened. We'd walk out, and I was doing it on purpose. I'd take different people every time, and I'd do the same pattern. I'd walk in, walk out the same way, and make it feel comfortable because these things are very skittish, We went and stopped, and we came back to the end of the riprap, and we all had to go to the bathroom. So after peeing, we come down to the second pillar underneath us was about where we were standing, and this is where it was, underneath our feet. I literally could have taken a flashlight, pulled it out of my pocket. I never get them out if I don't need them. It had to have been looking up between the trestles right at us. I mean, it's underneath our feet. This far away, the trestle's only this thick. It's laying under our feet. And the kid next to me says he hears dripping. And that was my first indication that I think I actually did think there's something under this. So it leaps down, and here's what it did. I'm going to show you this drawing. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but the last picture is him doing this ninja move and standing up at the tree line. But it had leaped down, and all I caught out of my eye was this first 2 butt cheeks, the hairy butt cheeks, off the side of the trestles. That caught my eye because I was talking to him, and it jumped down and splashed underneath. And as I said, that's underneath us. He goes, yeah. And as he said, yes, it leaped. I mean, it did its first leap out to where we could see it. And that was that first butt cheek shot right there. And then the next move it did, it's flying through the air. And the kid next to me goes, that's not a deer. This thing being bent over, and all I could see was the butt cheeks and leaping 8 to 10 feet away from us. That's why the kid next to us, I think, said the word deer, because it appeared to, if you were out in the bush and saw it doing this move, you'd think it was a deer. But it had no tail. It had no neck. It had no head, no ears, no antlers, nothing. All I could see was the two butt cheeks leaping through the water. And I haven't measured that distance to the tree line, but when it did that ninja move, the light from the river was bouncing off its nose, 2 spots on its brow, and I think I could see a little chin. But there was 2 breastplates also that were slightly glowing. And I think it noticed that it was glowing, and it kind of went into the background. It was really creepy. It knew what we were. It had dealt and seen people, I'm sure, for over the years of how long it's been there. But then, my final sighting there was by myself. And I'll tell you what, that's why I don't go alone anymore, because of what happened to me down there. I was in the same spot, went through the tunnel, went to the right over near the tracks by myself. And it was 2:30 in the morning. I was getting ready to move to Oklahoma City from Illinois. And I had asked my girlfriend to go, and because I don't, it's scary out there. It was, like a Wednesday or something. And it's 2:30 in the morning. It was crisp. Like the leaves were crunchy, real crunchy. And the moon was out. I don't know how it was full or not, but I do know that when I got down in there, I have a recording of this. I actually saved off of this old IR Sony, and I would Velcro it to my hat because I got so tired of the scratchy sounds and all the dis-sounding stuff. I needed clear sounds, and I'm out there standing there, and I'm talking to this recording saying, this is really creepy out here. And this was my last time. I'd been in there with numerous people. Never by myself, but I'd gone in there 7 to 10 times since my first encounter. So I had the feeling in my head that this thing knew my smell, knew me. I'm pretty sure it did. They're not, you know how they are. They're animals. But, yeah, it was intense. So I'm standing there talking to the recorder, and I said, this is it's creepy like something out of a creepy movie. It's, the moon's full, and I'm describing the trees and the shadows, of the trees. And these trees are leaving these lines, in the bed of the forest. It's pretty, the canopy's not that tight, so it's allowing a lot of that moonlight through. This thing's, Lord, I figured out why it was where it was, because I came into the parking lot on the other side. It came up on the bank. It was probably watching to see what I was going to do. I came directly to the tunnel. It just ducked down. Probably I can't go anywhere. It just stayed up on the bank behind me. And as I came in, next thing I know, I'm standing there, and I'm not looking around. I'm looking this way, talking to my recorder that's up on my brim of my hat. So, yeah, this thing, my first step I heard was the crunching in the leaves. It sounded 5 foot. 2 inches. But it was probably 5 foot. The crunching just, and I have bad hearing, so it had to have been really loud. So, to me in my head, I'm thinking this thing's let me know where it is. It's behind me at my 5:30, and I can't see over there. I have to turn my head to see, and I'm scared. I'm about ready to run. Okay. After the fact, I'm thinking I should have said hi to it or something. I know how to mimic them. I could have made some sound, but god awful if I'd have said something bad to it. It may have tore me up. But it literally took 3 steps toward me in the crunching leaves. And, woo! Yeah, it was pretty hairy, man. I turned to look at it. I did. Instead of walking off fast after this fact, but I turned to look at it. I convinced myself that I'm here. This is the moment. This is my chance, but I thought it may kill me. This is going on in my head. I'm thinking it might kill me. I turned to look. There was nothing there. Literally couldn't see anything. There was trees. I expected to see it, but it probably was like behind the tree at that moment and seeing they're hyper vigilant. When they see your head start to turn a direction, they're still, or they're hiding, or they move. They're strong, so they can move very quickly.
I don't blame you. I wouldn't have gone by myself at all if after that, especially after that. And that sounds like could have been a really bad situation, Jeff. I'm glad that you're here to tell that story. One of the things that really got my attention from that encounter, and I've got several questions, but one of the first is, how do you think it moved like that?
Yeah, it takes a while for your brain to capture the whole incident in the first place, and then I started drawing it. But I believe, and as we all know, it has a bending foot. And if you think about that bending mid-dorsal break, it's there for a reason. As these creatures run through the forest, their feet are probably hitting rocks that are unbalanced, logs, and as that foot hits those items, it's grabbing hold of them and pushing off. This thing was pushing off with its hands and its mid-dorsal brake, I believe. With that strong foot, it was able to literally hide itself with its arms in tight. We didn't see anything but butt cheeks tapering into the water, fawn-colored hair, tapering into the water, leaping away from. That's all we saw. And then the calling and the. So you're realizing through your head what's going on, and all I could come up with was that mid-dorsal brake, given some very strong feet the ability to push God, it was 30. It looked 36 inches wide, maybe guessing 32. And I don't know the height, because when you're down on something, it's hard to tell, the height of something. But I did get the width is pretty wide butt cheeks. But you could literally see the crack between the butt cheeks and everything. So it pushing off and going away from us, it was doing its job of hiding. But it didn't have the sensibility to know that it had to have seen me and known my smell. They're not dumb and they can smell. It had to have known that I had, it's throwing rocks. It's doing this. It's calling. Come on now. If you're the most elusive creature in the world, why are you doing that? It was trying to get rid of us. It didn't want us in there. So that's why that last sighting, I was really scared. I thought it was like, I'm getting rid of you.
I think they're very territorial. I definitely think you listen to some of these encounters and how they'll pace people and walk them out of the woods or walk them out of their areas. And I think that they're like people sometimes when you meet a bad person, they're going to harm you. If you meet the wrong person, it's not good. I think a lot of them don't have good intentions. That's just my personal opinion. But so with that being said, every time that you went, did you encounter it, or did you just sometimes you didn't when you went out there?
I didn't write down the times, but I know there was at least 2 or 3 times out of the, say, 10 or 12 times I went in there with people and by myself, or sometimes I didn't log it in my head. We just go down there and walk through and nothing would happen. I'm going to be honest with you. We tried to shoot it. We were going to shoot it. I saw the glowing eyes, and this incident, literally like the glowing eyes, was 20 minutes of it glowing, looking at us. And this is what the eyes were huge. What scared me the most was, I think, the space between the eyes when I saw it originally. That was what got me. It was probably 75 feet away, and the space between the eyes was literally like this. And my mind went, ugh, that head's got to be this big. It's pretty insane.
I can imagine that you were pretty scared. I don't blame you for reacting that way. With all that being said, I would love to know, what do you think Bigfoot is?
They're out there living it's a people. They're a freaking people, but they're dirty, they're nasty, they're creepy, they're quick, they're fast, they're sneaky, they're scary, and they probably do smell. I've never smelled them, but I don't really look forward to that moment either. But
there's nothing wrong with that answer, man. And I have my own opinions, and I personally think that it could be Nephilim. There's a lot of different things that everybody can have an opinion, and nobody knows for sure. That's the fun in it for me. But I think I already know the answer to this. But how has that affected you? How has that encounter, changed your life?
I don't hold back on telling anybody. I believe that everybody should know. If you're going to listen to me, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you what I think you should hear. I don't like scaring people, though. It's kind of a scare thing, but literally like, don't feed them. Okay? Don't feed them. And I think these should be out there, warnings. People out in the forest should be known that they're out there. And there's a sign I saw recently that evidently does give people a heads up.
There's a gentleman I was talking to the other day, and he was telling me that the state of Washington has them on an endangered list. The state of Washington. So that really makes you scratch your head and wonder. And obviously, I think the government knows about them, and they know that they're out there. And I think that, for whatever reason, they don't want the public to know. And I think people are just, if it's anything that's unknown and not normal, there's 2 kinds of people that want to find out, and then people that just would rather not know.
I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's a hunting license in the state of Oklahoma available now. You can purchase it online for Bigfoot. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Guy down in Adair County, down by Antlers, which is near Hobnobia. They have got sightings down there up out of the wazoo all the time. You can walk in the store down there, and anybody walking in and out ask them. They say, "Oh yeah, my neighbor saw that thing." Yeah. Oh, I saw one. Literally just like that.
That's crazy, man. I think that it's just a matter of time until, somebody gets some of that, like you said, a body, some hard proof. And, it'll be interesting to see what happens when that does happen. But, Jeff, I appreciate you coming on the show, sharing your encounters, man. Would love to have you back on sometime. I know you got more to share, but we'll have you back on. And, guys, if you have a mystery or something you would like to send me, you can send it to me by email at video@jscreativear.com. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thanks for all the support. And like I always say, stay prayed up. We'll talk soon.